Yo, welcome back to the channel. Excuse the wobbly phone video. I weren't really going to get any footage of this job, but I'm going to get a little bit. We have already started it, but what I'll do is I'll put some pictures on and do a quick voiceover to explain where we was up to and what you sort of missed, what you've kind of missed up until I've started filming the job. First of all, if you're new around here and you've not subscribed, just get it pressed, make me happy. And if you are already a subscriber, go and hit the like button, show us some love, see if I can get like 500 likes or something daft like that. Doubt it, but you never know. So basically what we're doing is working in a pub. The pubs were supposed to open on Monday the 17th. This one, however, didn't. It opened just to us because we need to do some work in there. And Monday the 17th was the soonest we could start, which is a bit ironic because that was the day they were supposed to open again. But they decided to go ahead and get this work done. So let me just explain the job a little bit because it's a bit of a funny one. Basically, they asked me for an EICR. Obviously, satisfactory EICR is what they want because for insurance purposes. And I've already been in the pub before. I've done something there before. I think I fitted cameras there. That was what it was. And I said to them, before I even start a report on this place, I already know it's not going to be satisfactory because it's an absolute mess. The mains area is an absolute death trap, and you'll see that on the voiceover in a minute, and I'll explain some of the stuff that's in there. And then they said, well, we kind of knew that already and we're planning on just rewiring it all together. You rewire the whole thing, so could you give us a quote? So I said, yeah, okay, I'll give you the quote. So I went round, looked at what they needed, what they've got, what they don't want anymore, and I gave them a quote to rewire the place, which they said, yep, fine, go ahead, when can you start? And then as I started taking stuff apart from the mains, I started to realise this place doesn't even need rewiring. There's not really much wrong with the circuits, it's just the mains area that's really bad. And they said, well, yeah, because we had a bit of it rewired about 5 years ago, it's just never finished. What I'll do is I'll just go through the whole place and I'll rectify anything that I would code on an EICR and change the mains board, tidy it all up and get it to a satisfactory EICR kind of thing, which obviously they're happy about because it's going to be a lot cheaper in the long run. Luckily, I'm an absolute seasoned professional and I would never lie to a customer anyway. I don't know, I'm laughing, that's not a joke, that's true. So basically we've not rewired any circuits so far. We've rewired little bits, we've tweaked little bits, we've added sockets where they've asked us to add sockets, we've done bits in testing, but it's all wired in FP. A lot of it's clipped direct on one half of the building because there's no access to the loft anyway, so I think that's why the original electrician decided to use FP, which is fair enough. It's either that or conduit, otherwise it just looks a mess. The rest of it's in lofts and loft spaces, which is great. But yeah, it was a bit of an headache at first, but we're getting there. You'll see that in a minute. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you on the job. Right, so I'll try and make this pretty quick. That's how the original electrician, within the last 5 years, rewired the place and left it. Obviously, it's a complete mess and it's a death trap. It's dangerous. There's plenty of faults there. The old consumer unit on the top right-hand side, that is still in use. There's still circuits being fed from that. There's a couple of old banks of light switches which are also in use. Yeah, don't really know what to say. It's a death trap. There's holes all over the switches. There's access to live parts. There's single insulated cables floating about. Yeah, bit of a close up there. So there's his new consumer at the top, and you can quite clearly see just some singles just floating from hole to hole. There's no grommets in there. Obviously that's a big no-no. I don't even know what would cross anyone's mind and why they would do that in the first place. But yeah, that's the inside of that old consumer unit, which was still in use for a few circuits. You can see the armoured cable that originally just fed that board, which this electrician has then brought out the front cover, just straight out the front cover. If you can see in those Henley blocks, the blue and black cores just underneath the newer tails. He's then refed the old board and then just floated off some 25mm tails to his new board to supply his new board. Obviously the front cover then doesn't go back on because they've got them cables just sticking out. So what he did is he just rested the cover, hanging them on top of the MCBs that are there. That's inside his new consumer unit after I took the lid off. All the holes, the cables are coming in from all directions. None of the holes have grommets in there. There was a lot of the FP single insulated cores with big rips down the side them. Beforehand, if you just put a bit of pressure on the front cover of this unit, about 4 of the RCBOs would trip, probably from neutrals or whatever, just touching the body of the consumer unit. Yeah, it's just a complete mess inside, obviously, as you can see. Then you've got just to the left of the mains board area where some of the cabling was left like this, just cable tied up to the top to some other cabling. Straight across the top of the stairwell, and then the grey twin and earth cable, which is one of the only circuits in twin and earth. Right in the centre of the picture near the bottom, you can see 2 of them going through the wall. That's just going directly into the back of a socket on the other side of the wall. And yeah, it was just left tied like that, and just all, yeah, just a rat's nest. It's a mess. It's just unbelievable, really. Right, as you can see, this is the new mains area. I've put that ply on because obviously there's massive holes in the wall all over the place there, so it's neatened that up quite drastically. All the switches have been redone, refed, with just one short, and that's a blank. That isolator is for the fans in the basement because he said the staff never go to the basement at the end of the day and turn them off, so they're on all night. Now they can turn them off from up here. We've refixed that to the wall, and we've clipped that properly, and we've took them inside because the best way, all that's just solid brick from there. Got rid of them all from there, refed to that socket that was on the back of that. So basically, I'll just zoom out a bit, it's completely tidied up, and more importantly, it's safe. So it looks like a lot of circuits, but in reality the total load is quite low because most of the circuits are just radials to things like one socket for a fruit machine is on one circuit, one socket for a TV is on its own circuit, so there's not much really. It's just how it was wired before. It's all wired in FP. Let the grommet strips come off. Got myself the Knipex stripper I keep seeing. I've never bothered buying it because I've never really thought I'd need to, but to try and strip FP in the back like that with just a knife is so hard, especially in the back of there as well. That you can get up tight, give it a twist, comes off dead easy, so definitely paid for itself on that. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do all my dead tests now that while it's like this, and then I'm going to do the board and go from there, get my live testing done. I'll give you a little tour of the pub shortly. Can't go out there yet. There's owners having a meeting with someone out there, so. Some of the other stuff we've got to do down in the basement though. These are the fans that I'm talking about. This feed was already in here, but it never got round to doing it. So we're just going to tube down into another isolator, get rid of this, which is fed from this board here. obviously it's a bit, so we're going to get rid of this, put another isolator up here, which will pretty much stay on at all times because they'll just switch it on and off from the one up in the pub, but it's also there for maintenance for the fans. There's one here and one on the other side of the wall. See you at dinner time and you at home time. Yeah, well, all empty. Even though we're not in lockdown anymore, they can open as soon as we're finished. So pretty much finished there. Just got to test that one, so that's why that's not connected up. Just torqued it all up, ready to go. Done all the dead tests now, obviously apart from that one, which I'm going to do in a second. It's a bit neater than it was before. Grid switch is completely done. Isolated for the fans. As you can see, we're getting somewhere now. The door just hits that there. Doesn't touch the board, obviously, because of that, and it wouldn't anyway because of the handle. But I have been out and bought a door stopper, which I'll put down on the bottom, and just to stop it hitting that bit. I know it's metal clad, but just want to protect it a bit. It should be pretty good. Not exactly the neatest, but I'm not that anal on the mains boards. I like to do them as I'd like to find one myself when I open the lid, and I'd be happy with that. So this is the only ring in the whole place, and if you can see, I've marked with a Sharpie one leg of the ring, so anyone in the future come to test will know that, or I'd assume they would know that which leg is which without having to pull them all out. So yeah, quite happy with that. Not a bad board. Do love the fuse box board still. Got to mark up all these switches, mark up all the mains boards, and crack on. Just got a voice over this part because one of the other tradesmen had a radio playing, so obviously copyright. Just a couple of the extra sockets we added, and the Collingwood LED strip underneath the bar area. The sockets are click mode, by the way. This is in the lounge half of the pub. Just giving you a quick look over it there. We had to add those two sockets you can see in the distance. There was one existing there that was fed from the old wiring, so we've newly wired that. I see there's a bit of conduit down just to get to that. That's for the fruit machines. All labelled up, every switch. Those all labelled up. Door stoppers on, does a lovely job. Every socket everywhere is all referenced. As you can see, that's on every socket throughout, all referenced to what circuit it's being fed from, which is easy for the next man. So that's it, video, not a very good one. Couldn't really get much footage, there's a lot of people working in here, owners have a lot of meetings, weirdly enough, more than you'd imagine a pub owner to have. Any questions, pop it down in the comments, because I'm sure there'll be a few. The ply is a bit oversized, yeah, it looks a bit weird, but it's in the back room, it's out of the way, and it's covering holes in the wall, which is better than what it was. So yeah, the owners are happy. So we'll see you on the other side. Peace.